There's a language louder than words, a truth that screams in silence. You ever been in a room with someone who smiled with their mouth but cried with their eyes? You ever shake a hand that was firm but feel the tremble underneath? That's not coincidence. That's human instinct speaking to your soul. And the sad truth is, most people never learn to listen to it. We live in a world that's so loud, full of noise, opinions, distractions, yet the realest messages are whispered through posture, silence, hesitation, and unspoken pain. People walk around with wounds they don't talk about, with intentions they won't say aloud. And if you want to protect your peace, if you want to build real relationships, if you want to move like a lion in a world full of snakes, you got to learn the art of reading people without them saying a word. This is not manipulation. This is awareness. This is a gift sharpened through pain, experience, and observation. It's not about being paranoid. It's about being prepared. When you master this art, you stop chasing words and you start understanding truths. And truth never lies. Let's talk about how to sharpen that gift. Let's talk about the art of reading people silently but powerfully. Energy never lies. That's something you come to understand not through books, not through teachings, but through pain, silence, and experience. You walk into a room, and before anyone even speaks, you feel something. The atmosphere shifts. Your body tightens. Your instincts whisper something is off. And the mistake people often make is they override that gut feeling with logic. They convince themselves they're imagining it, being too sensitive or overthinking. But that energy you feel, it's not some random emotion. It's your spirit recognizing a truth your ears haven't heard yet. You don't need to understand everything with words to know what's real. You don't need someone to confess their intentions for you to sense them. That invisible feeling inside your chest is the earliest warning, the earliest sign, and it's time we all start listening to it like it matters. Because it does. People speak with their bodies before they use their voices. They give off vibrations, some comforting, some draining, and some downright dangerous. You ever been around someone and suddenly felt exhausted for no reason? That's not coincidence. That's their energy bleeding into yours. They might be smiling, being polite, even praising you, but behind that is something dark. Resentment, jealousy, competition. Energy doesn't need a microphone, it just needs presence. You can tell who's for you and who's faking it by how your spirit reacts when they walk into the room. It's a wisdom that lives in your skin, not just your mind. We've been taught to ignore that sixth sense, to trust appearances and words more than presence and vibration. But the soul knows better. The soul always knows. The problem is we've grown up in a world that idolizes image. We listen to charming words, confident tones, and well-practiced smiles. We ignore what we feel because we're trained to look for proof. But energy doesn't work on proof, it works on truth. And truth is not always visible. That's why so many people get burned, betrayed, and broken by those they trusted. They had signs, they had feelings, they had that inner nudge, but they silenced it. They gave people the benefit of the doubt instead of honoring their inner knowing. And that mistake comes at a cost. When you suppress your energy radar, you invite chaos. You end up inviting people into your life who say the right things, but mean the opposite. And by the time their real intentions show, it's too late. You're already deep in the damage. You ever meet someone and feel completely safe without explanation, like their presence alone was healing? That's energy too. It's not just about spotting the negative. It's about recognizing the ones who carry peace, who bring light. You can't fake that. You can't force that. Some people walk into your life and immediately your walls drop. You don't feel the need to explain yourself, prove yourself, or be on guard. That's what real alignment feels like. That's what real connection is. When the energy fits without having to be explained. You don't have to perform for it. You don't have to earn it. That's when you know your soul is finally sitting across from something familiar. Not in words, but in spirit. And when you meet people like that, hold on to them. They are rare. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with someone. That's where the truth lives. Do you feel lighter? Do you feel inspired? Or do you feel confused, small, anxious? Stop brushing that off. Some people don't mean to hurt you, but they haven't healed themselves. And being around them is like standing next to a storm. Their inner chaos spills into your peace. They might not say a thing, but their energy screams. It screams of fear, comparison, control. And if you're not grounded in your own spirit, that energy will consume you. You'll start doubting yourself. You'll start shrinking. That's why energy discernment isn't just a tool, it's a shield. It's how you protect your heart in a world full of emotional noise and invisible battles. You can be in a relationship, a friendship, or a workplace and feel like you're going crazy, not because you're weak, but because you're surrounded by energies that are misaligned with your purpose. And when your soul doesn't match the room, you'll always feel out of place no matter how hard you try to fit in. That tension you carry in your chest, that tightness in your back, that restlessness you feel when certain people are around, that is communication. That is your nervous system trying to protect you. And we need to stop treating it like an overreaction. If someone's energy feels wrong, believe it. You don't need a reason to walk away. Your peace is reason enough. You don't need receipts to distance yourself. The way you feel is the proof. We need to normalize choosing environments, relationships, and conversations that feel safe, not just look safe. There's a difference. A smile can be fake. Kindness can be manipulative. But energy will always tell you the real story. You've got to stop ignoring the way people make your spirit feel just because they didn't do anything wrong. Not doing something wrong doesn't mean they're right for you. Doesn't mean they're good for your growth. Protecting your energy might look like walking away from people who've never hurt you, but never uplifted you either. It might look like distancing yourself from environments that celebrate everyone but feed your doubt. If you want to master the art of reading people, you start with yourself. You train your soul to feel first, think later. And the moment you trust what you feel more than what you hear, you'll never be fooled again. Energy never lies. It's the quietest voice in the room, but the most honest. You can be standing face to face with someone who says all the right things, who looks the part, who wears a perfect mask of confidence and kindness, but deep down you feel something's off. That uneasy pit in your stomach, that pressure behind your eyes, that sudden tension in your chest, that's your spirit whispering, this isn't right. And most people ignore that whisper. They silence it with logic, with politeness, with second guesses. But here's the truth. What you feel in someone's presence is more real than anything they could ever say. People can lie with words, but energy doesn't have the capacity to lie. Energy is raw, it's ancient, it's spiritual. You were born with that radar. That gut instinct wasn't put inside you by accident. It's there to protect you. It knows who's real before they prove it. It knows who's fake before they expose themselves. You don't need confirmation to trust your vibration. You don't need permission to protect your peace. Trust what you feel. Trust what you sense. Because energy tells the truth long before words ever do. You can walk into a room and feel if you're welcome. Before a word is spoken, you can feel who's genuinely glad to see you and who's secretly competing with you. You can sit across from someone and instantly sense their resentment, their envy, their judgment, even when they're smiling. And you can't always explain it, but you know something in their posture, something in their gaze, something in the silence between their words. It sends a message. That's the language of energy. It doesn't care about titles, appearances, or status. It communicates soul to soul, and yet we're conditioned to ignore that. We're taught to give people the benefit of the doubt. We're taught to focus on politeness and not make assumptions. But sometimes your spirit is not making an assumption, it's making an assessment. It's scanning the atmosphere and detecting what your conscious mind hasn't caught up to yet. That's why so many people end up blindsided. They sensed it, but they didn't honor it. Stop asking for evidence to believe what you feel. You don't owe anyone a reason to trust your own peace. Energy doesn't need a conversation. You can meet someone and immediately feel light around them, like a calm breeze touched your soul. You don't know why, but you feel safe, you feel seen, you feel like you can breathe again. That's energy alignment. That's not something you find every day. And just the same, you can be with someone for years and the energy always feels heavy, like you're walking on eggshells. Like you have to shrink parts of yourself just to keep the peace. That's a sign too. Some people are not evil, they're just unhealed. And their unhealed energy spills into every room they enter. You might not realize it at first, but over time, you'll start carrying weight that's not yours. You'll start losing joy, confidence, clarity, all because you allowed energy that wasn't aligned to stay too long. And it's not just about how people treat you. It's about how they make you feel internally. Do they inspire calm or chaos? Do they raise your frequency or drain your fire? Do you feel safe being fully yourself, or do you have to dilute your light? There's a certain exhaustion that comes from ignoring your intuition. When you pretend not to feel what you feel, your body takes the hit. Your mind gets foggy, your chest gets tight, your spirit gets tired. And for what? To protect someone else's feelings? To maintain a connection that's quietly killing your peace? That's not strength. That's self-abandonment. You don't need to argue with energy. You don't need to rationalize or explain it. If being around someone always makes you question yourself, always leaves you confused, always makes you feel less than, then that's all the confirmation you need. You're not too sensitive. You're not imagining things. Your body is responding to an invisible truth. And the moment you start honoring that response, your life will shift. You'll start moving different. You will move toward pedagogy. You will move toward, you'll walk away without guilt. You'll protect your space without needing applause. That's the power of trusting energy. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's clear. The clearer your spirit becomes, the less tolerance you'll have for confusion disguised as connection. Some people carry peace, others carry pain. And if you're not careful, you'll end up wearing energy that doesn't belong to you. You'll wake up heavy, not because of your own struggles, but because you've absorbed someone else's storm. That's why discernment is everything. It's not just about recognizing who they are. It's about recognizing what you feel. The nervousness in your gut, the drain in your energy, the way you have to mentally prepare before seeing them, those are signs. That's spiritual data. Your soul is smart. It knows what your mind tries to deny. That's why you have to stop forcing connections where there is no energetic safety. If someone's energy constantly contradicts their words, believe the energy. People can craft sentences, they can plan apologies, but the energy they emit is the most honest part of them. So listen with your spirit, not just your ears. Feel with your body, not just your brain. That's where the truth is hiding, in plain sight. There are people who have never raised their voice at you, but still made your soul feel violated. There are people who have never cursed your name, but still left your spirit feeling bruised. Why? Because energy is louder than action. It's subtle but powerful. And when you start paying attention, you'll realize that silence holds more truth than speech. You'll see how someone's energy enters a room before they do. You'll notice how some people dim your light without ever saying a word. That's the power of reading people without sound. That's the art of emotional intelligence. It's how you start guarding your soul the way you guard your home. You don't let just anyone walk through your door, right? Then why let just anyone walk through your energy? Protect your atmosphere. If someone constantly makes you feel small, unstable, or invisible, it doesn't matter how kind they act. Something inside them is out of sync with your spirit. Honor that feeling. Walk away if you must, because peace is not a luxury. It's your responsibility. You don't need to wait for someone to hurt you out loud to know they're dangerous to your peace. You don't need to wait for betrayal, for drama, for evidence. You already know, you already feel it. Some things are not meant to be figured out. They're meant to be felt. And the more you sharpen that inner compass, the less time you'll waste with wrong energy. This is your life, your space, your vibration. Guard it like it's sacred, because it is. You don't have to justify what you feel. You don't have to prove why someone's energy feels wrong. You just have to trust that your spirit never lies. When your heart races for no reason, when your energy drops after certain conversations, when your joy disappears around certain people, that is not your imagination. That is God's whisper. That is your inner guide saying, this isn't for you. Listen, trust it, move accordingly. Because what you feel is the truth, and the truth, no matter how quiet, always has the final word. Patterns are louder than promises. You can't hide behind sweet words forever. Sooner or later, your actions will expose you. And for those who truly pay attention, the truth is always in the repetition. Anybody can apologize. Anybody can break down in tears and swear they'll never do it again. But that one-time apology means nothing if the behavior stays the same. Real change doesn't come from their mouth. It comes from their pattern. You want to know who someone is? Watch them. Don't ask them. Don't hope. Don't guess. Just watch. Watch how they treat you when you're no longer useful. Watch how they respond when you say no. Watch how they carry themselves when no one's watching. Because character doesn't need an audience. It reveals itself in routine, in consistency, in habits. A pattern is a mirror that reflects a truth people try to cover with charm. Too many people fall in love with potential, with promises, with what could be, instead of accepting what is. You keep forgiving the same mistake because you believe their apology more than you believe their behavior. But actions are data. Actions don't lie. If they keep disrespecting you after they say sorry, that sorry was just a strategy, not sincerity. And we have to stop confusing apologies with accountability. Saying I'm sorry isn't hard. Changing is hard. Growing is hard. Showing up differently is hard. So ask yourself, are you dealing with someone who's changing, or just someone who knows how to say the right things at the right time to keep you stuck? Because patterns will show you. They'll show you everything. You don't even have to ask questions. Just observe. The truth is always in motion. You can't keep ignoring cycles just because you want to believe in someone. That's how you break your own heart. You see the disrespect, you feel the neglect, you hear the excuses, and still you stay. Because they swear they'll be better next time. And for a few days, maybe even a few weeks, they act right, they play the part, they say the things. But then it starts again. The distance, the silence, the control, the selfishness. It comes right back around like clockwork. That's not change. That's a cycle. That's a blueprint of who they are when they're not pretending. People don't need a second chance to do right by you if they meant it the first time. So when the same behavior keeps coming back around, it's time to stop listening and start believing what you're seeing. The longer you deny it, the deeper you fall into a loop that will only drain you. Some people say all the right things to keep you around, not to keep you respected. They know your heart. They know your forgiveness, and they play on it. They weaponize your compassion. They hurt you, then cry about it, then do it again. And you keep hoping that this time they'll mean it. But patterns don't lie, even when people do. If they really valued you, they wouldn't just say it. They would show it. Not once, not twice, but consistently. Love is not proven through dramatic apologies. It's proven in day-to-day consistency. Respect isn't earned by admitting fault. It's earned by fixing it and keeping it fixed. So take off the blindfold of potential. Stop imagining who they could be and start acknowledging who they've shown you they are. If someone shows you a cycle, believe it. Because every loop is a lesson, and some lessons come wrapped in silence, not storms. You ever wonder why you feel so tired in a relationship where the apologies never stop, but the disrespect never does either? That's the weight of repetition. It wears down your self-worth. It trains you to normalize pain. You start adjusting to mistreatment. You start waiting for the good days instead of demanding consistency. That's what unhealthy patterns do. They confuse your spirit. They exhaust your heart, and yet you keep going because they're trying. But trying isn't enough if the results never change. You deserve more than temporary behavior shifts. You deserve patterns that reflect respect, not just regret. Don't let someone's moment of guilt make you forget the months of emotional absence. Don't let one good week erase a year of inconsistency. Your peace should not be held hostage by someone's inability to grow. It's not about expecting perfection. People are human. They'll make mistakes. But the difference between a mistake and a pattern is intention. When someone messes up, takes full ownership, and actively works to become better, you'll feel the difference. You'll see the effort. You'll experience the change, not just hear about it. But when someone keeps repeating the same actions, making the same excuses, and blaming circumstances instead of taking responsibility, they're not growing. They're just performing. And you have to be strong enough to stop clapping for the performance. You have to stop giving passes to patterns that are killing your joy. Protecting your heart doesn't make you harsh. It makes you wise. You don't have to hate them. You don't have to hurt them. But you do have to outgrow them. Let their patterns be the proof you've been waiting for. Every time you excuse a pattern, you give it permission to repeat. Every time you choose to believe what someone says instead of what they do, you teach them they can keep getting away with it. And eventually they will, not because they're evil, but because you let the pattern become the norm. The way to break free isn't by demanding better apologies. It's by demanding better patterns. Look around you. Who is showing up for you without being asked? Who respects your time, your boundaries, your worth without needing to be reminded? That's who you align with. That's who deserves space in your life. Let the rest go. You don't need to keep explaining yourself to someone who keeps showing you the same hurt in different forms. People will always reveal themselves. You just have to be brave enough to stop rewriting what's already been written in their actions. The truth is in the repetition. Let it speak. Let it guide you. Let it set you free. The truth about people isn't found in what they say. It's revealed in what they do and how they make you feel. Energy never lies, and patterns never fail. When you learn to stop chasing words and start honoring what your spirit already knows, you begin to walk in a power that can't be manipulated. You start recognizing who's meant to be in your life and who's just passing through with a mask and a motive. You stop excusing repeated disrespect, because now you understand that apologies without change are just dressed up distractions. Every emotion you feel around someone, every shift in your energy, every cycle you keep seeing, it's all information. And when you start treating it like truth, you take back control of your peace. There's a certain freedom that comes when you no longer need people to explain themselves. You've observed, you've felt, you've seen enough. You don't need closure when clarity has already arrived in the form of patterns. You don't need validation when your spirit has already spoken through instinct. It's not about holding bitterness in your heart. It's about choosing alignment over attachment, choosing peace over potential, and choosing truth over temporary words. Let people reveal themselves. Let energy speak for them. And let the consistency or the lack of it determine who stays and who goes. Because at the end of the day, your life is your responsibility. Your peace is sacred, and anyone who disrupts it constantly, even silently, is showing you who they are. Believe them. Not just once, but every time their actions speak louder than their promises. Move with discernment. Trust the vibration. And remember, your spirit already knows what your mind is trying to ignore. Thank you for listening. May you walk forward with clarity, courage, and peace. Protect your energy, honor your instincts, and never apologize for demanding consistency. God bless you.